Hello everybody, my name is Peter, this is Troy. We are licensed armorers, we hold a FFL, Federal Firearms License, we are licensed firearms instructor with the state of California, we are listed at the centralized list and hold several other permits and licenses. We want to talk to you about the new law that took effect on January 1, 2025 regarding to use of firearms in motion pictures. The new law makes it mandatory that the production hires an armorer whose sole responsibility is armorer. He can't have another job like prop master or whatever. And he has to have all the licenses and be on set whenever the firearms are on set. So the first thing we want to talk about are the things we use like ammunition and firearms. We start with ammunition. After 1860s, guns used cartridges. This is a complete cartridge. A lot of people call it a bullet, but that's wrong. The bullet is only the piece of lead or copper that flies out through the barrel and comes out the end of the barrel. The whole thing is called a cartridge. Cartridge has several components. The shell, of course. The shell has a little pocket in the back. In that pocket goes a primer. When the hammer or the firing pin strikes the primer, it creates a spark which in turn ignites the main charge inside the cartridge. In a 45 long Colt like this one, we use 30 grain of black powder. Now, of course, for a blank, we don't put a bullet in it. So we need something to hold the powder in the cartridge. There's a lot of different things used. The main thing that's been used is florist's foam. That's the green stuff the florist uses to make flower arrangements and stick the flowers into. When the main charge is fired in a blank, the florist's foam will totally burn up and disintegrate and nothing will come out the end of the barrel. We test our blanks at 6 feet towards a white sheet and make sure absolutely nothing comes out the end of the barrel when the blank is fired. There is a lot of pressure coming out. So the pressure is of course the same than is being used if you want to shoot a bullet which comes out the end of the barrel at 1,000 foot per second or more. So the pressure in the blank is the same. So a blank is still very dangerous. If you hold the gun to your head with a blank and pull the trigger, you will have a hole in your head and be dead. So blanks need to be used very carefully. Guns, we come to that later, what the safe way is to hold guns and use guns. So this concludes the first part with ammunition. We go over to the firearms now. Over the time of the development of firearms, different ignition systems have been used. That started very early with matchlocks and other stuff. But the period that interests us for our movies usually starts with the flintlock. This is a flintlock rifle. The flintlock rifle, the powder is inserted from a powder flask in a predetermined amount into the barrel, rammed down with the ramrod, and if you want to fire a real bullet, the bullet is inserted on top of it, rammed down with the ramrod, Then there's a pan for flash powder. Flash powder is put in the pan here, pan closed. There's a flint here. When you pull the trigger, the hammer comes down, the flint hits the frizzen and creates sparks. The sparks ignite the priming powder. Through the primer hole ignites the main charge, and the main charge explodes and pushes the bullet out the barrel. This was a little bit cumbersome, especially if it rained, powder got wet, gun didn't go off. So the next invention was the percussion gun. The percussion gun is loaded just like the flintlock with powder through the barrel. In our case we put florist foam, tamp it down, but then in the back here is a nipple, and a percussion cap is being put on the nipple, and when the hammer hits it, percussion cap makes the spark that ignites the main charge, gun goes off. This is a one-shot gun, of course. In the 1850s, a man named Samuel Colt invented what's called the revolver. In a revolver, this is a Colt Navy replica. It has a six-shot cylinder. The loading is the same than with a single shot. Now, but the 6 chambers now, each chamber gets the powder from the powder flask. In our case, gets the florist foam, and then at the end of the cylinder on the nipple, the little percussion cap is fitted. And now you can have 6 shots in fairly quick succession, and every time you pull the hammer back and pull the trigger, you have 1 shot. You have 6 shots out of it. It's still a little bit cumbersome to load, and so a guy named Rollin White in the 1860s came up with an idea to put all the components that we put in the barrel and the percussion cap into one piece, into a cartridge. He got the patent, what was called on the bored through cylinder. They bored the cylinder from the percussion gun through, and now you can load the cartridge in the back, and that goes fairly fast. In that case, this is a Smith & Wesson made in 1860. It has serial number 49, so it is a very early gun. Samuel Colt then started building cartridge guns. In 1872 he came out with the famous Peacemaker. That gun has a strap in the top and does not break open, so you need a way to put the cartridges in. That's the loading gate. You open the loading gate, you can put the cartridge in and do that fairly quick, and you have 6 shots until you have to reload. All these guns have inspected by us prior to doing this video and made sure they are all clear and nothing, no cartridges are in there. So then around the end of the 1800s, people came up with new inventions, and that was the semi-automatic gun. This is a Colt 1911. It has a magazine. Cartridges go in the magazine, go in, you rack it, put the first cartridge in. Now when you pull the trigger, the blowback from the cartridge moves that slide back, as I just did manually, ejects the empty cartridge, grabs a new cartridge and puts it in the chamber, and you're ready to fire the next shot. Now you can pretty much fire as fast as you can pull the trigger and as many cartridges are in the magazine. Other handguns, of course, were the Derringer, very famous, used by gamblers and soiled doves, very easy to conceal in your pocket. A lot of people had one as a backup to other guns they carried. And this one is a Remington 2-shot. It has 2 barrels and you have 2 shots. Not very accurate, but across a table they're still deadly. Other guns used in the period are long guns. One is the shotgun, of course. Shotguns were made early with the percussion ignition system, where you put the powder in through the barrel, put the percussion cap on, and you could shoot. Later, after the invention of the cartridge, they were made for cartridge. In this case you can break it open, can put the cartridge in, and you have 2 shots. The blanks we use in those shotguns are, as you see, very big, much bigger than a 45 long Colt, and have a lot more powder. Those are really dangerous and need to be used with a lot of caution. We show you later how those works and how dangerous they are. The other long guns of the period are single shot. These were called buffalo guns. This is a Remington rolling block. You pull the hammer back, you open the rolling block, and now you can put 1 cartridge in, close the rolling block, and you're ready to shoot. These are very powerful guns. This one has a very early Malcolm scope on it that was used back in the 1800s, and a lot of buffalo hunters used outfits like that to hunt buffalo in the prairies. So then, again, somebody was thinking, how can we make this all faster? So a man named Tyler Henry had the idea of the lever action rifle. Lever action rifle has a magazine tube underneath the barrel, and you fill this tube with cartridges. So then you pull the lever down, a cartridge is taken from the magazine tube, moved up to the barrel, moved into the chamber, and you can shoot. As many cartridges as fit in the magazine tube. There's guns that hold like 15, 16 cartridges, and you can shoot as fast as you can pull the lever and pull the trigger. So this concludes the firearms, and we now go over to safety. The 2 most important aspects of gun safety are muzzle discipline and trigger discipline. Muzzle discipline means that you always know where you point the muzzle of the gun, and it always pointed in a safe direction, which is usually right in front of you in the ground. Never point the gun higher than about here. Never point the gun at somebody's face or head. The safe direction to point the gun if you have to shoot somebody is right next to the person. Try not to point it here, point it here. On camera it looks just the same. If the gun is pointed slightly to the side, then it looks if it's pointed right here. We show you how it looks to point the gun safely at a person. That's where you try to point the gun and shoot the blank next to the person. Next is trigger discipline. You never put the finger in the trigger guard. The finger is always outside the trigger guard until the very moment you want to pull the trigger and shoot. Especially if you pull the gun out of the holster, if you put the finger into the trigger guard, it's very easy to pull the trigger without wanting to pull it and pull it too early and like set your pants on fire. To ensure everybody's safety, the armorer will choreograph the scene, and there's going to be rehearsal. The armorer will watch and make sure that at no point in time the guns are pointed at somebody or in an unsafe direction. After it's determined that it's safe, then the cameras can roll. Troy will now show you how dangerous blanks really are. He's going to shoot a 45 long Colt blank and an aluminum can. Aluminum is 10 times stronger than human skin. Fire in the hole. There was nothing solid coming out of the end of the barrel, only pressure. Another demonstration of the power of a blank. Fire in the hole. That was your brain, if you pulled the gun to your head. Troy will now demonstrate the most dangerous gun we use on the set, the 12-gauge shotgun. Again, it's loaded with a blank, no solid object coming out of the barrel, only pressure. Fire in the hole. Another shot with the shotgun. Just imagine that being your head and your brain. Fire in the hole. This concludes our safety video. Thank you for watching.